Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Accel trial form. Now, sorry for the late review or late update or upload, because I actually went to go watch a movie this morning, so which is why I'm a little bit late making this review. Anyway, so yes, as I mentioned, this is a P-Bandai SHF figure, but despite being P-Bandai, this is not one of those expensive ones. I guess they made a ton, or printed out a lot to the point where the price wasn't that high even at this point. So once again, this figure was made in 2010. So yeah, I was expecting a different frame, but it seems to be using the old SHF style format, which not saying it's a bad thing. It's just that there are some aspects of the old style frames that I'm not too fond about. Anyway, so as usual, let's go on with our usual routine. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the rider itself, and then in terms of hands, I have the fist on the hands because I believe those are the hands that comes with the figure right away, right off the bat. And for those who don't know, this rider was seen in Kamen Rider W. This was basically the secondary rider's power-up form. The second rider is called Kamen Rider Accel, and this form is achieved by using the Accel memory that you can see on the belt. That's just right over there. And then in this form, it's more focused on speed rather than power. So the concept or the attack style for this character is that he would attack or kick or punch multiple times to give more damage instead of just hitting the opponent once with a greater strength. So okay, let's talk about components. So there's not much. We get a good amount of hands, and then we get the basics. So let's go over the hands first. So okay. Hand-wise, we get these open style hands for posing for left and right. Nothing too special about that. And then we get another open style hand, but a little bit more different shape. So once again, that's that. And then we get this hand, which is actually meant to hold the engine blade. Currently, I already have one on the right hand because it was kind of tricky to get this in. But this is not a trigger finger hand, as you can see. You can see each finger is kind of like individually separated like this. Usually we would mostly see the time, like for multi-purpose hands, we would see something like this that could hold pretty much anything. You can see the fingers are all stick together, just one single piece. So currently you also get a set of this, but I'm only the one for the left is right here. I attached the trial memory, so I'll explain how the trial memory works for those who don't know how it works. And then we get this sums up version, which I can't remember if he actually does this or not, because considering the character's personality, it was kind of odd. So once again, you only get that you only get the sums up hand for the right hand, by the way, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so we get the engine blade, and currently I have the hand hold it up. So as I mentioned, the fingers are individually separated. So, and these are one of those swords that have a trigger finger, but not only a that has a trigger, but not only a trigger, but it also has one of these trigger guards, which is why it gets a little bit tricky attaching this to the hand. And yes, for those who are curious, the engine blade does open, but there's nothing to actually pull out. Now, they actually did make a Kamen Rider Accel a new version, like a 2.0 version, and that thing actually works way better. Of course, the price is way higher, so there's no way I can actually buy that thing at this point. I mean, technically I have the money, but it costs a lot. Okay, so this is the part which I'm not too I don't understand why they gave this. So this is the Accel driver, or Accel's belt. Here we see the red tip. This means this is pretty much for his base Accel form, which doesn't really make any sense. Now, if this thing did not have the red section here, it would make much more sense, because this is the multi-purpose hand, by the way, for the left one. So this is the trial memory, as you can see. This is how it originally looks like, but the way how he attaches to the belt is that he presses the button. I forgot which one he pressed. I forgot if it was this or the one on the bottom. And then what he does now, it's not possible to do with this, but he would basically flip the memory to go down. It would be facing down now, and then this is how he attaches onto the belt. Hence, you can see why the belt, or the way how it's connected to the belt, is like that. And then when he does his finisher move, which is basically he presses the button right over here, and then on the screen they would show it would start a counter, or a time count, starting from 0, and then he has up to, I think, 10 seconds, I believe, or 9.9 seconds, or one of those numbers. And then he has to basically hit the opponent as much as he can before time runs out. And then he grabs it again and then press the button. If he successfully does that, then his final attack actually works. But if he fails, then it becomes very risky to the point where his transformation will be cancelled out. Everything, which is a very risky move. But yeah, this is how it works. And as I mentioned, I do wish they would have given a open hand to hold this, like in the show. But yeah, I mean, technically we do have this open hand, and it doesn't really hold it. I mean, I can balance it out, but it's almost close to impossible. So I do wish they would have given a more specific hand so it could hold it like in the show. But for now, the only best way I could do is to plug it into the multi-purpose hand, and like that, like as if it's holding a mic. So you can see he takes it out from the belt to use his final attack move. So if he took it out, then there shouldn't be any memories in, but they somehow gave this. So that was kind of one odd thing. And those who are aware of this, they did actually make a SHF Kamen Rider Accel, the 2.0 version. I can't really pronounce the term for they use for 2.0, but the main reason why there's a 2.0 for his base form but not this form is that the base form actually had a lot of issues with the proportions, to the point where there's actually a third form where that was in the movie called Accel Booster, which is a yellow version, and then the visors are all closed up. If you buy that one, it comes with another Kamen Rider Accel head, which is a more correct proportion and design. So you can see there was a big problem with the first one. But this one, I think they did a pretty good job with the proportions and color. Everything looks right. Of course, I guess if there is one nitpick that might be a thing, it might be the scale on the memory or around the belt, because there are some riders where they barely have a waist. But this one seems okay other than that. So which is why I think that's the main reason why we haven't got a 2.0 version of this form yet. Okay, let's get on to the articulation. Now the articulation is pretty okay or standard except for the head, because by looking at the head you would assume that it would have the basics, but it really doesn't for some reason. So it doesn't go down. I don't know why. It looks like it can go down, but it doesn't go down. And I really do like that extra fin touch that has an A on the top. And unlike normal Kamen Riders where they have bug eyes, this one actually has like a nice big visor on the head. And you can see another A in the middle. But it can go 360, I believe. Yeah, it can go 360, and it can look up. So the only thing it can't do is look down for some reason, once again. And then the neck itself does have its own movement, so you can do the chicken neck thing. And let's get the back. Now the back, we have a wheel, and surprisingly, it moves. If you remember, I have reviewed Kamen Rider Chaser, not the one that uses the driver. He also has a wheel on the back, but that wheel does not move at all. This one does. I mean, I'm talking about figure-wise. So yeah. Okay, so one thing so we're going to go to the shoulders, and one of the things that I'm not too fond of about this old frame is that the shoulders, because they have this large ball joint connection thing going on here, and this one, when time goes by, this thing gets pretty weak, and to the point, as you can see, I'm trying to put it up, but it goes down a little bit on its own. So in the end, the shoulders may look like it's going down a bit, but other than that, it's okay. So the shoulder armor flips open like that, nothing too special with that, and then you can go 360. You have the typical 360 twist on the arm itself, and then you have a nice stiff bend here, right over there, and your hands are your typical SHF hands where the ball joints are on the arm, not on the hand itself. Also, a little bit of warning is that I'm not, well, this part was kind of scratched, but when you're moving the neck, be careful, because I was trying to like force the neck go down, and then I kind of rubbed it to the point where the paint kind of got off. The blue you see here is a metallic blue, so any scratches will be pretty, easy to see, so just be careful. Okay, let's look at the waist. So there's the driver here, and these are one of those belts where you can just plug it out. Well, this one actually makes sense, because this rider actually is capable of doing this. Not in this form, but in his base form, he does this. He takes it out, he holds the handle, and then like moves up, and he turns into a motorcycle. That's his base form. Weird aspect, but it still works. Other than that, so we have a nice ab crunch, kind of stiff there, and then yeah, we have a little bit of movement to the side, and then so this is one of the few ways to noticing that this is the old frame is that you can do this. You can pull it down, and I'm not too fond of this gimmick, to be honest. And it doesn't really look good. Granted, it does look more natural, or at least to some people, but Yeah, I just don't like the fact that this moves for some reason, because you can't do this with a human, for real. And then we have a nice movement up towards the front, can go to the back, and kind of goes actually a little bit more when you think about it. You can go to the side a little bit, about less than 90 degrees, and then you have a nice double jointed bend. And then we have these half of a wheel things on the side of the legs. They also rotate. I don't think they're on pegs, but I think they are more on a ball joint, considering the way how they move. And something just popped out, didn't it? So that's the first thing. I wasn't aware that that could happen. So what just happened is that the knee armor just popped out. Nothing broke. It just popped out. This is, I believe, this was also one of the common issues with the old frames, is that there are sometimes pieces that pops out. And then for the feet, we have a nice. Well, I did loosen this up, but yeah, we have a nice 360 rotation here. Not possible for a real human, just keep that in mind. We have a nice pivot going on. I believe these are die-cast metal, because they actually do feel like metal. And then we have a nice toe bend that goes top, but once again, very stiff. Okay, so yeah. So we've seen the basic articulation, so I guess we need to go through the like how it holds the weapons and then how it poses. So I'll be right back with the first set of equipment. Okay, I'm back. Here we have the first set of pose. Now, technically, there's not much to the equipment, but basically I wanted to explain or show you guys how he does his pose. So basically, he would throw this memory on top, and then before it goes up to 9.9 or 10 seconds, he would basically kick or punch, or in whatever way he could attack the opponent multiple times as much as he can, and then grabs this memory once again. So the way how in the show he would grab is like it drops down and he catches like this. So we do have something that is kind of similar to the hand, but this thing does not actually hold it. Yeah, as you can see, it just falls down, and I even tried to balance the thing and it doesn't really work that way. So yeah, but this is how the memory works, and this is how he usually holds it. Here is the belt. Now currently here's the one that doesn't have the memory and somehow has the Accel memory, or that red pop, that red thing on the top. I guess to make it more show accurate, I guess you can just cut that off and then sand it and recolor it if you want to do so. But here is the belt that actually has the memory. So as I mentioned, this is how it's supposed to look like. And then when he presses the button, he flips it up, and then he flips the memory down, and this is how it connects. The way here it works, or if you want to be, so you can see there's a peg on top of the belt. So which is why, and somehow this is how it works. So I guess if it was the other way around, I guess this would not be really necessary. But since the way how this is, yeah, there's some parts that is kind of iffy. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe in the next 2.0 figure would be this guy, because Accel does actually have pretty good, fans, or at least he's pretty popular than you think. I mean, or at least his base form, to the point where he actually has a master grade, or I think it's a master grade scale model kit. So that's something when you think about it. Oh yeah. So once again, I'll be right back with the engine blade. So yeah. Okay, so here we have the pose with the engine blade. Nothing too special. It's just literally a sword, and you can see the color is kind of different because this sword is mostly used in his base form, the normal Accel form. So even in the show, he doesn't really use this too often. There was, I think, only 1 or 2 times where he actually used this for his final move in this form, where it's basically he throws the memory on top after pressing the button, and before he recatches it before the timer runs out, he will basically slash or pretty much whack the enemy with this as much as he can. Because this engine blade is a very, very heavy weapon. They definitely show that in the series, to the point where a normal human should, I mean, I guess a normal human could barely hold it, and yeah. So this is a very heavy weapon. At least they did a good job. I think it might be on the shorter side. And then I forgot to mention regarding this frame is that while proportion-wise it seems okay, but the overall frame or figure itself may look a little bit on the skinny side. So once again, it's not the most perfect or best frame out there. But at least for this one, it works, because Accel, compared to his normal form, the bulkier body, this thing has like all the armors off. So it does need to look a little bit slim. So to show that he's more speed based in terms of ability. So once again, holding the sword is no problem at all as long as you get the hand right. Of course, a little bit if you're not too careful, or if you like accidentally tap the sword, it may pop out, but not entirely, but maybe the lower section like that. It just came off pretty easily because at least the top section, it's pretty much locked in place thanks to that extra grip over there between the hands. So yeah, and it does open, but this version, being the old version, does not really serve any purpose in being able to open. But because in this engine blade, he is able to put in other memories, such as like the engine memory, which actually has 3 functions where it could be electric, steam, and I believe there was one thing more, but yeah. So he has some other properties or he can use multiple attacks with that as well. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the review. So once again, this is a Premium Bandai exclusive SHF figure, but it's still one of the easy ones to get out there, so it shouldn't be a big problem in terms of getting one, and then the price as well. So if you're actually a big fan of this form, I definitely would try it, because I was not really a big fan of Kamen Rider Accel himself, but after seeing this form in the series, I actually really like this form. So once again, thanks for watching the review. This was a review of the SHF Kamen Rider Accel trial form. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time!